the tactics of are you a brand marketer or a direct marketer, because they're fundamentally different things. And most people were brand marketers before the internet, but the internet rings a bell and says, if you're a direct marketer, this is here for you. And then I come around full circle and I end with a bit of a rant about, is the work we do evil? Are we responsible for it? And if we are responsible for it, what are we doing here with this super powerful tool? And this tool we each have is more powerful than the assembly line was in 1925. Partly because we all have it. If you have a keyboard, you can touch the culture. What will you do with that keyboard? What will you do with that camera? Because we're not victims, we're creators. And I care very much about helping people take responsibility for the change they seek to make. And if it makes you a living, that's fine. If it doesn't make you a living, that's a choice. But don't do it because you're making a living. Making a living because you're doing it. Because there are direct marketing ads and there are brand ads. It's not the advertising that differentiates them. It's one simple thing. You can't measure brand. You can measure direct. You must measure direct.
Right.
Lester Wunderman, who was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, the elder statesman, invented the term direct marketing, was on the board of Yoyodyne. Direct marketing is measured marketing. If you can measure it, you're going to act differently because you can see what happened Tuesday and change what you do on Wednesday. Brand marketing is a Cheetos commercial. Brand marketing is the Airbnb logo. You can't test the Airbnb logo every day. It's the logo. That's part of the way you tell the story of who you are. So a lot of individuals who don't own the company like brand marketing because you can't get in trouble for a long time because no one knows if it's working. And it's this magic alchemy. The Absolute Vodka ads in the back of the New Yorker for all those years. They didn't work. And then one day you're a genius, right? So no, very few people make an Apple Super Bowl commercial that changes everything. Generally, what happens is people show up, put their brand in the world with or without an ad, right? Brand marketing is, where did you put your store? Is it on the corner or in the middle of the block? You can't measure that because you can't open two stores, one in the corner and one in the middle. Direct marketing, though, is the secret of Google and Facebook. Google gets all of its revenue, 100%, from people who are buying clicks that they measure. And the reason they make so much money is they sell the clicks for a nickel. And if they work, they tell your competitors that they could buy it for 6 cents. And so an auction takes place. So you're making a little bit of money and Google's making a lot, but you're still okay with it because it's better than making zero. So as we switch to this world of direct marketing, we have to realize the metrics of brand marketing aren't appropriate and vice versa. What does that mean? It means if you're an individual and you're counting your Facebook likes or your YouTube views, you're making a big mistake because you're doing direct marketing in that sense. You're measuring it, but you're measuring the wrong thing. And that's going to undermine your brand because we all know that the best way to get a lot of clicks is to act like a porn site. And left to its own devices, if it does nothing but optimize, sooner or later direct marketing on the internet races to the bottom because you're just trying to get a few clicks from a few people dumb enough to pay you something. And my argument is we need to race to the top. So we need to use direct marketing when we should and brand marketing the rest of the time. Nike is a bit of a special case. Number two, the vast majority of Nike's future and its present is overseas sales. So they're showing up and they're saying, we're not Puma, we're not Adidas, we are Nike. Well, you can't say that by pointing to your sneakers because in a blind taste test, the sneakers are all the same, right? Unless you're an elite athlete. It's about something else. Well, Colin Kaepernick is a signal. He's a symbol. He stands for something. And the other sneaker companies have been afraid to stand for what Colin Kaepernick stands for. So, is it risky feeling to go into a divisive area of politics that I don't think should be divisive, but has become divisive? Of course it feels risky. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant because at the level Nike is playing now, the number of ways that they can stand for something, anything, is very small. And here, with just 2 words, they were able to say, us, him, we stand for something. When you talk about Nike, you are talking about standing for something, right? And the stock market has reflected that, their market share has reflected that. It's not easy for a brand to do something that singular. Well, Nike is selling to the early adopter of fashion. By the time their shoes are at Payless, they're not making any money at that end of the curve. They make money at the front of the curve. And the front of the curve, the early adopters, they're people who are playing with new ideas in the culture. They're not people who are trying to preserve old ideas in the culture. So let's talk about the difference between a logo and a brand, right? Because companies spend way too much time on their logo. Just like people on YouTube spend way too much time on their hair. I'm told they spend way too much time on their hair. If Nike opened a hotel, I think we would be able to guess pretty accurately what it would be like. If Hyatt came out with sneakers, we'd have no clue. Because Hyatt doesn't have a brand. They have a logo. If I swapped the signs on a hotel at that price point, you couldn't tell. If you were to Marriott, if you were to Hilton, if you were to Hyatt, the hallway, the room, I don't know, where am I? No brand. So what it means to have a brand is you've made a promise to people. They have expectations. It's a shorthand. What should I expect the next time? And if that is distinct, you've earned something. If it's not distinct, let's admit you make a commodity and you're trying to charge just a little bit extra for peace of mind. The problem that Hyatt and Hilton and Marriott and the rest have is sort by price. Because if I go online now to find a hotel, it's really simple. Sort by price. Why would I pay $200 extra to go a block away? I don't. So what's the value of a brand? The value of a brand is how much extra am I paying above the substitute? And if I'm not paying extra, you don't have a brand. So when we think about what brands ought to do to move forward, the most important thing is to not worry about your slogan, your spokesperson, the wrapping. It's to worry about the substance. Work that matters for people who care. Find the people who care, the smallest viable group you can live with, and figure out how to give them work that matters.